Imagine stepping off a plane in a brand new country. You are utterly alone.
Right.
You're carrying nothing but one suitcase, one single piece of luggage, and crucially, this, relentless burning fire of determination.
Hmm.
That one moment, that solitary, high-stakes moment, is really the opening scene for our deep dive today.
It's a powerful image.
It is. We're going to be pulling back the curtain on this profoundly personal journey of success, and we're drawing directly from the excerpts of Ismael de Leon's memoir, A Luggage Full of Dreams, The Canadian Journey.
And what makes this source material so compelling, I think, is that it's more than just a story of achievement. It gives us this really detailed timeline of emotional resilience.
Yeah.
And critically, the scaffolding you need to build a new life from scratch. It really highlights the role of support systems.
Okay, so what's our mission here?
Our mission is to track that journey, step by step, from the initial seeds of inspiration planted back in the Philippines all the way to a successful family life decades later in Canada. We want to pull out those specific moments that acted as real turning points.
The catalysts. We're looking for the catalysts. And if we look at his early story, two things really jump out as these foundational pillars.
Okay.
First, the surprising, almost poetic source of his early ambition. It was all rooted in storytelling and, well, imagination.
And the second?
The second is the absolute pivotal and very practical role that finding a supportive life partner played in turning those dreams into a shared reality. We really need to analyze how those two pieces came together, starting right at the beginning, long before Canada.
Yes, it's so vital we understand where that drive came from. The journey begins in Taytay, or Zell. And De Leon talks about a childhood where the idea of travel, of the world beyond, it wasn't brought to life through, school or books. It came from the vivid personal stories of his grandmothers, Lola Palong and Inang Nena.
And that's a really critical distinction in his motivation, isn't it? It speaks to the power of that internal imaginative drive.
Absolutely.
Lola Palang's specific tales of traveling to Cebu, they were clearly just captivating. She wasn't just describing a boat trip, she was describing an experience that felt, well, fantastical.
She painted a picture.
She did. She detailed the ship. He says it felt almost cruise ship. The dancing waves, the crystal clear sea, rows of beds, even an onboard restaurant. He remembers thinking with just complete awe, what a gigantic boat it must be.
And that right there, that's the seed of scale and possibility being planted very, very early on.
Right.
I mean, if a local trip to Cebu could feel like this magnificent adventure, you have to wonder, what else is out there?
Where else does the world hold?
Exactly. And then we get the second layer of inspiration, which is more external, more tangible.
Aunt Alicia from California.
Aunt Alicia, yes.
And she didn't just tell stories. She was the physical proof, the manifestation of the life he'd only seen in movies. She embodied that successful life abroad.
So you see this perfect combination forming. You have the internal sort of visceral spark of curiosity from Lola Palang's imagination, and you pair that with the external aspirational proof of concept from Aunt Alicia. He was prepared mentally to seek adventure and, prepared visually to recognize success when he saw it.
And those two things, they culminated on one specific night in June 1996.
The arrival.
The arrival. The memoir describes him arriving alone at Toronto Pearson International Airport. The only thing he was sure of was his own determination and that one suitcase. It's a terrifying moment, really.
Well, it marks the end of the dream building and the start of the life building, the hard part.
The really hard part.
And this is where the narrative shifts.
Hey.
It goes from being about inspiration to being about self-definition.
How so?
He says it explicitly. He wasn't just moving to Canada to build a life. He was there on a solitary mission to discover who I was and connect with my true self.
Wow. That's profound. So the act of immigration was inseparable from this act of, deep personal discovery.
They were one and the same.
But that solitude, thankfully, it was immediately softened by a small but mighty gesture of community.
Tita Myrna.
Tita Myrna. His mother had arranged for her, a family friend from his hometown, Taytay, to meet him.
And the detail of her holding that sign, "Welcome to Canada, Mel." It's so important.
That's everything.
It is. That first point of contact serves as this critical emotional anchor. It stops the massive shock of arrival from tipping over into panic, and it allows all that determination he brought with him to actually, set some roots.
And that determination was immediately tested, right away, by the realities of his first hours in Scarborough. He vividly describes that first drive along Highway 401 as just surreal And in a moment of really relatable reality, his very first Canadian meal was late-night Chinese food.
At Perfect Restaurant on Brimley.
Exactly.
He includes those mundane details, the specific highway, this specific restaurant, not just for color, but to ground this epic journey in, tangible reality.
Yeah, it reminds you that even these grand journeys are made up of late dinners and long drives.
But the crucial element here is Tita Myrna's immediate, just overwhelming generosity.
Yes, she gave him a place to stay in her modest two-bedroom apartment on Kingston Road. The memoir makes it so clear that while the space was small, the kindness was just monumental.
And this is where we need to focus on the sort of psychological calculation of the early immigrant experience. His private space,
Hmm?
it was a small cot.
Set up behind the sofa in the living room.
Right. But he says emphatically that he found this space to be more than enough.
That phrasing is so telling. It highlights a mindset where discomfort is acceptable because it's temporary, it's functional.
He didn't come for comfort.
He came for opportunity.
Exactly. The focus was function. Work hard, find a job, save up, and eventually get his own place. This whole phase demanded so much self-reliance, but it was juxtaposed with this need to accept humility and community support.
It's a balancing act.
A total balancing act. He had to reconcile this mission of self-definition with the fact that he absolutely needed that safety net.
Does the source ever talk about whether that necessity, the cot behind the sofa, ever felt like it conflicted with the big dream he was carrying?
It implies that the ambition buffered the difficulty. That initial struggle wasn't seen as a setback. It was the essential strategic staging ground. He saw the cot not as a sign of failure, but as proof that he had begun.
Wow.
That feeling of hopeful determination that's mentioned in the source, that's the true engine. That's what allowed him to see a cot in a shared living room as more than enough. He was in Canada. The work had started.
You can really feel the sheer force of will in those first few months, but that intense, solitary hustle, it lasted about a year, and then the entire narrative shifts.
A huge turning point.
The biggest. We moved from 1996 to 1997.
1997, the year he met Dixie.
Yet.
And if the first year was defined by individual grit and self-reliance, the next decades would be defined by shared purpose.
And the language he uses to describe her role is so strong, so unambiguous.
It is. He immediately signals that this partnership wasn't just personal, it was the structural, strategic component of all his later success.
She wasn't just a girlfriend or later a wife. He explicitly calls her a lifeline.
A lifeline.
A confidant, and I love this, a teammate in life. That vocabulary is so critical.
It signals a joint venture, an economic and emotional alignment focused on achieving shared goals.
And this is where the analysis of the immigrant success story gets so much deeper.
It has to. When you're building a life from zero, no local references, few savings, all these systemic challenges, the risk is immense.
Of course.
But having a teammate means the risks are halved and the emotional burden is shared. He says Dixie believed in him when he doubted himself, providing unwavering support, love, and encouragement.
So let's talk about the practical reality of that. How does having a teammate actually change your financial and professional strategy?
Well, it fundamentally changes the potential scale of success. A single person saving up for, say, education or a house, they face a much longer timeline.
And a much higher consequence for any failure.
Exactly. But with a teammate, you gain resilience. One partner can maybe take a bigger risk in a career move, while the other provides stability.
Ah, okay.
And the source suggests that this partnership helped him build a strong foundation, which allowed him to pursue goals he previously thought were out of reach.
So his risk tolerance increased.
Dramatically. Knowing he had this solid shared foundation back home, it moves the goalposts from simply surviving to, actually thriving.
And he makes that explicit attribution. My success is as much hers as it is mine.
It's an extraordinary statement.
It is a statement of equity and achievement. The goal was no longer that individual mission from 1996. It was the collective success of the partnership.
And if we connect this back to the broader picture of immigration, this narrative really pushes back against the myth of the solitary hero.
The person who does it all alone.
Yes. De Leon's story argues that perseverance is often powered by partnership, a powerful strategic alliance that provides the emotional and financial stability you need to persist against all the challenges of building a life in a new country.
And that shared foundation, it paid off enormously. If we fast forward 2 decades from that solitary arrival in 1996, the dream has fully materialized.
Mm.
But the ultimate act of success, as he defines it, wasn't about acquiring luxury goods or anything like
No,
that.
it was about reunification.
Exactly.
Absolutely. The highest measure of success was fulfilling the family dream. After years and years apart, he finally achieved the capacity to sponsor his parents and siblings,
To bring everyone
to
together.
finally reunite the entire family in Canada. That full circle moment, going from the isolation of the cot in Scarborough to reestablishing the entire family unit, that is the highest possible outcome.
It's the return on the courage he showed, paid out not just to himself, but to his whole lineage.
Well said.
And that legacy of determination, of sacrifice, it's now being visibly carried forward by the next generation, his 2 children.
Yes, and the achievements of his children really underscore that generational transfer of success. Chloe, who's now 22, she just graduated from McMaster University.
And his son.
His son, Aaron, is 19 and is in his second year, also at McMaster. The successful establishment of the family has provided the stability for the children to pursue higher education, which is so often the pinnacle of the immigrant dream.
Why do you think he highlights the university achievement so strongly rather than, say, professional successes later?
Because education represents security. For an immigrant family, putting your children through a prestigious university like McMaster, it signals that the previous generation built a foundation strong enough to eliminate the economic obstacles that defined their own journey.
It's the ultimate validation.
That's the ultimate validation that the sacrifice was worth it, that you've secured a future of opportunity for the next generation.
And he closes his reflection with just such genuine gratitude, thanking Canada for embracing him, the immigrant with that one luggage full of dreams, and allowing him to grow.
The beautiful synthesis of the whole journey. He defined himself, found his essential partnership, and then used that combined strength to lift the entire family.
So let's just synthesize this whole trajectory. We saw the childhood curiosity rooted in Tay-Tay,
The solitary landing in 1996,
the critical kindness from Tita Myrna that prevented, immediate collapse.
and then the true ignition point, finding his strategic partner, Dixie.
And all of this momentum, it resulted in the establishment of a successful family legacy centered on reunification and high-level education. McMaster. It's truly a journey defined by these small, courageous steps leading to huge generational shifts.
What's most fascinating here to me is how the narrative forces us to redefine the measure of the immigrant dream.
Mm-hmm.
While professional stability was achieved, the core achievements he highlights, they aren't material wealth or status, they were the emotional collective achievements.
The successful sponsorship of family.
And the educational flourishing of the children. It emphasizes that success, for De Leon, was defined by shared outcomes, not by individual accumulation.
And that raises a really critical question for you, our listener, to think about. When we talk about fulfilling the dream after immigration, is the true measure the acquisition of wealth? Or is it the successful establishment of generational security, the educational flourishing of the next generation?
I mean, think about the weight of that one piece of luggage back in 1996. It didn't just hold clothes. It held the capacity for a shared future. And the successful fulfillment of that dream required not just individual determination, but the power of that critical partnership to share the weight.
A deeply insightful look into how dreams are built, step by courageous step. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.